Okay, we are recording now. So welcome everybody to the March 15th, 2022 occurrence of the Brigade Community Meeting. It's the Ides of March. Funny thing though, I woke up this morning thinking it was St. Patrick's Day and was not. So my son went to school wearing green today. So yeah. All right, I'm gonna share my screen so that we can see the agenda for today. Share. All right, can everybody see this and is it big enough to read? Okay, I'm taking, usually Vaughn takes notes, but I believe he is in the air right now. So I will take notes, but I'm doing it offline because it's easier, and I will put them up on the document later. All right, so we have a lot of new contributors, although nobody here is new. So I was going to welcome and call out specific people, but nobody here at this meeting is new. For what it's worth, people might have been thrown off by the change of time for this meeting. So for those who may not be aware, these later in the day occurrences of the meeting, or later in the day if you're in the US, I guess, are scheduled for the benefit of international community members. So when daylight savings went into effect for us folks in the US a couple days ago, I actually moved the time of this meeting. So it moved for the time of the meeting moved for people who were in the US. It did not move for people who are not in the US, or more accurately, if you don't observe daylight savings time. So I don't know if that threw people off or what. But anyway, so we've had a lot of new contributors recently. A lot of them seem drawn to working on the dashboard. I need to get the message out there more strongly to people that help is welcome on all of our brigade projects and not just on the dashboard. I think it's possible that there's maybe just a surplus of people who like to hack on React right now, which is fine with me because I don't like doing front end stuff. Yeah, let's all of us try to get the message out there that help is needed across all of our projects and not just that one. And I'm trying to do my best to make sure that things that are easy, low-hanging fruit for brand new contributors are tagged as good first issue. I'm actually pretty sure that that's how a number of our new contributors have found us. I don't remember the name of the website. Somebody pointed it at me. Somebody pointed me to it one time before. But there is a website that aggregates the good first issues across like all of GitHub and says, you know, if you're looking for something small to work on, here you go. So I'm trying to be very good about labeling things as such. And in most cases, you can work on these issues without having any significant foreknowledge of Brigade. But definitely, I do want to try to build up our new contributors and get people to really understand Brigade so that they can help out with issues that are more substantial than just a good first issue. Speaking of which, one particular area where we could use help is getting all of our various gateways to a GA state. I think we've advanced 2 of them at this point to GA. There are a lot of others out there that are nearly GA and they need tests, they need docs cleaned up. But you know, most of the work is done. We need somebody to just kind of take ownership and see it across the finish line. Episode 3 of Brigade in 5 Minutes is, I'm sorry, still not recorded. I will try to prioritize that in the coming weeks. We'll talk in a minute about why I didn't get to that. Lots of progress has been made on the Hindi translation of the docs. I don't know if I'm saying this correctly. Atreyi has worked quite a bit on that. And she is currently a student and she has exams right now. So the getting it across the finish line is going to be delayed a little bit, but she has put a substantial amount of effort into that. So that's great. And Shubham has been helping to review those translations. I'm not sure what part of Microsoft he works in, but he is a softie. We have the cron event source went GA since we last met. So big thank you to George, who did most of the work on that one. We don't have a blog post about it yet, but George has agreed to write that, but there's no rush. We're going to let George bounce back from COVID before we start cracking the whip on him, right? Let's see. We had, as I mentioned, a big influx of new contributors. A lot of them have been having difficulty with Git, probably because a lot of them seem to be students. A lot of new contributors seem to be early in career. So to give them the help that they need getting started, we put together a Git Basics for Brigade Contributors video. The effort that went into this video is the effort that should have gone into Brigade in 5 minutes, episode 3, which is why that was delayed again. This is up on YouTube. It's public, but it's currently unlisted. Unless I receive any critical feedback that prompts revisions, I'll probably list this in the next few days so that people can actually find it more easily. Some external pressures have prompted a little, well, I should say external to the project pressures have prompted a new focus on software supply chain security for the project. There's not much that I'm at liberty to say, but let's just say that Microsoft is very concerned about software supply chain security, and rightfully so. And so many of us who do work for Microsoft have recently undergone a lot of training, and I'm trying to apply that to this project. Ralph, you have a question?
Not so much a question, but I definitely want to, speaking as a representative of Microsoft on the PM side, I can easily sort of just sketch out the general, issues involved really quickly.
Yeah, so, absolutely, go for
it. It's pretty straightforward, and that is that lots of people will understand. They may have heard about the executive order and the by the United States government and so forth. That's obviously one thing that a big business like ours might pay attention to. But more systematically, the real truth is that we all need to share our artifacts with everybody, right? Open source artifacts are driving so many of the things that are going on, and we want Brigade to be able to do that. What will happen is, like it's really easy to sign something and so forth, but some of the supply chain work that's coming down the pipe helps people really trust that a certain entity did scan and does vouch for the code, and that the code hasn't changed. The image hasn't changed since you published it, no matter where it resides. So whether that's on GHCR or Docker Hub or in some other public repo. So this work is something that really probably everybody will end up touching at some point, and especially in open source. And we just want to make sure that we're supporting investigations in that kind of work. So that's why, Kent had a great session the other day, and we basically all the tooling and so forth that's available is, what these steps actually represent is Kent sitting there going, hey, let's look at this, see what we can do, what we can make better. And so it's a general software process. It's actually not specifically Microsoft. Everybody in all the cloud companies that I know of will be focusing on this quite extensively. So it's just part of that larger movement.
Yeah. There's absolutely nothing specifically Microsoft about this. It's just simply a matter of, well, you made us all attend the training about it, so now I'm going to apply it.
And now he's got tools.
Now that I have the tools, we'll see what we can do with them.
Yep.
So I'm also slowly working on getting our Google Analytics in order. We really want to develop a clearer picture of how users are engaging with all of our static content, how they move through the landing page to the documentation to the blog. And, you know, we want to see kind of what path they take when they're traversing those things. We want to find, for instance, where the dead ends are. You know, what was somebody looking at the moment they decided to give up? You know, so what we want out of this is actionable intelligence that will tell us, you know, where we need to focus and what we need to do to make things better for people. It looks like, I think Karen must have added this item. Karen, do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so for KubeCon and Cloud Native Con for May, sorry, I didn't put the year. Yeah, I just wanted to update you and say that we have one virtual office hour session. So I tried to get one that someone in the US could do, given it's in EU time zone. So it's going to be from 3:30 to 4:15 Central European time, which is 9:30 Eastern time. So that is on the table. Let me know if you need me to make adjustments, but basically we're trying to work with EU time zone. So it's a little bit tricky. And that will be held on Bevy, which is like the community platform that CNCF uses. That's basically Google Meet under the covers. And yeah, so that will be happening in May. So that's that topic. Any questions?
No, awesome. Thank you for setting that up.
Yep. And then the next one was also me as well. I was talking to David Justice earlier this morning, and we were trying to figure out if we have a good understanding of like top use cases for Brigade B2 and whether or not it's worth kind of doing like a survey to kind of just get a sense of what people are doing with Brigade. I don't know if we have ever captured that data. That's there.
Okay. Yeah, I think that would be great. My guess is that probably at this point we're not going to get a lot of responses.
Yeah.
But yeah, I see no reason that we shouldn't get more clarity on how it is used among those who are. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think it would still be helpful to see like of the people who do respond, what they're like, what ways they're using it, and like breadth might be useful as well if we can't necessarily get depth. Yeah.
And also interesting thing, today is the first time that I've seen somebody pop into the Slack channel and say, hey, I'm using Brigade 1 and I know that's reaching the end of its life soon. So I'm starting my transition over to Brigade 2. So I think that as the EOL for Brigade 1 approaches, we're going to have more people who make the jump. So that's a good thing also. Okay, so that brings us to the end of the agenda that we have written down. So if anybody else has anything that they want to discuss, the floor is open now.
Hey, Kent.
Hey, George.
Yeah, great to be back. I think someone in Brazil, I think is Lucas, is going to record some like Git instructions as well in Portuguese.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to give your video for him to try to do something similar.
Oh yeah, great.
And then, yeah, he was working on that already. And then that's nice that you have done something. Keep in mind that there's a few people coming from the infra side. They are not developers. Lucas is a developer, but there's more of like front ends, and sometimes they want to help, but it's not that they don't know Git, it's more the flow and understand, how to get started.
Yeah, and I notice, yeah, that's an interesting point. It's not so much that people don't know Git, but sometimes we, I'll take the cryptographic signatures as an example. A lot of people don't know how to set that up, and we require that thanks to Ralph. Because I mean, the history behind that is it was probably 6 months ago or more that we started really talking about software supply chain security, and Ralph and I agreed that it was a good first step to require signed commits, because it is a step towards being more certain of the progeny of every commit. It's not it's not a slam dunk, but it was a good first step. And I agreed to be the guinea pig on that, and it's been interesting because I think a lot of people don't actually know how to set that up. If you make a commit through the GitHub web interface, automatically it's just taken care of for you. But if you're making any sizable contributions to a project and you're using the the CLI in order to make your commits and push them, that requires some extra setup, and it does seem to be a stumbling block for people. So that was part of the reason for that video. So if whatever Lucas is doing can be sure to touch on setting up the cryptographic signatures, that's very important.
Sure.
George, do you happen to know anything about how or if the Portuguese translation of the docs is progressing?
To be honest, not. Philippe, do you know anything about the translation? By the way, congratulations, Philippe, for your first pull request that was merged a few days ago.
Yes, thank
Great.
you.
Thanks a
Thanks. It's just a line.
lot.
Hey, you gotta start somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm telling. I think they have to get started, and the Git flow explaining like the basics sometimes is blocking someone. I saw that you create like a repo for the translations, like a new repo.
Yep.
And to be honest, I was completely offline last 9 days or 10 days, and
That's all right. You got to prioritize your health, man.
that's my first meeting back. That's great. I'll let you know. But
All right, yeah, and I mean, there's no rush. I was just curious because I've seen the progress on the Hindi translation, and if you do talk to anybody who is working on the translation, remind them that that we're prioritizing the all of the docs in the intro section first. They're kind of the most valuable ones. We don't have to translate the entire doc tree in order to get something out there. We can start with a translation of the most valuable subset of the tree.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I'm also interested on the use case, like Karen was talking about. I think the use case, have to find those people that how they're using and maybe propose some new use case. Show the people how to use the product, how to use the project. I think that's the main thing for me that I want to help.
All right. Does anybody have anything else? Oh, sorry. I should glance at the chat. I haven't looked at it. Oh, it's all just Ralph. All right. Nothing else? Then we all get a little bit of time back. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. And just a reminder, the next occurrence of this is one of the earlier occurrences that is meant for US time zone folks. All right. All right.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Better y'all.